Welcome to Echoes of the Lost audiobook, where forgotten stories come to life. Dive into worlds of mystery, survival, and the unknown. If you enjoy our stories, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with our latest audiobooks. Chap 38, Roars in the Dust. Ryder trudged slowly along the faint groove in the gray soil, his hands gripping his bag like a sailor clutching lines in an endless ash storm. The murky sky, thick with black clouds, let only weak light filter through, casting shadows on the scattered broken metal pillars, relics of a civilization long erased. The wind howled through the wreckage, carrying fine gray dust that coated him in a dry layer of ash. Lena walked beside him, her steel rod firm, her sharp gaze scanning the desolate expanse, her breathing slowed against the harsh air. Torin supported Mira, the young girl taking labored steps, her hand clutching the cloth over her nose, her breaths fading in the brutal environment. Kalia trailed behind, her broken wooden stick in hand, her tense eyes following the groove toward the hazy horizon. This was Post-Apocalyptic Wasteland, where survival was a fight, and the control point, a fragile hope amid the dead land. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, its red light pulsing faintly, the small screen showing, Archive, Ryder, Proceed. Control point near. Those words echoed in his mind, a cold whisper from an unseen force. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 23 North, on track. Archive Phase 4, Control Point Real? He paused, eyes locked on the screen, unease rising. It's close, he murmured, voice low, blending with the wind's wail. But something's off. Lena turned to him, her eyes glinting in the dim light, a small flame struggling through the dust. Hear that? She asked, her voice rough with dry air. Something, not the wind. She stopped, tilting her head, listening. Ryder nodded, halting, pressing his hand to the ground, feeling a faint tremor through the ash. Not machinery, he said, frowning. Uneven rhythm, like steps. He inhaled lightly, noting the burnt metal scent now mixed with something rank, like dried blood. Something's alive here. He wrote slowly, strange tremor, rank smell, creature. He turned to the group. Stay close, careful, we're not alone. Torin pulled Mira behind a metal pillar, his cloudy eyes tense. Alive how? He asked, voice deliberate. This land's dead. Mira coughed softly, her gaze panicked. Kalia stepped up, standing by Ryder, peering where the groove faded into dust. If it's a machine, I'd get it, she said, voice soft. But if it's a beast? Before she finished, a low roar rumbled from afar, not loud, but enough to shake the air, followed by heavy footsteps thudding through the earth. Ryder raised a hand, shouting, hide. The group ducked behind the pillar, dust swirling as a blurry shape emerged in the haze, tall, gaunt, with unnaturally long limbs, gray skin mottled like burns, and dim red eyes glowing faintly. Mutant, Ryder whispered, observing. Radiation twisted, maybe. Lena gripped her rod, eyes tense. Does it see us? She asked, voice low, watching the creature lumber across the groove, sniffing the ground. Ryder frowned, analyzing. Red eyes, partially blind, likely scent-based. Long-term radiation here warped it, elongated bones, heat-resistant skin. He scribbled fast, mutant, radiation, predator. He whispered, don't move, let it pass. The creature growled low, pacing slowly, its claws gouging the soil, leaving deep marks. Torin held Mira tight, voice trembling. What's it hunting here? He asked, eyes horrified. Kalia nodded, gripping her stick. Us, maybe. Ryder watched, noting it paused, sniffing the green dust around the groove, then roared louder, charging off another way, vanishing into the haze. "It's after the green dust," he said, voice tense. "This track's not safe anymore." He checked the device, its screen flickering. "Archive, Rider, control point 200 meters. He murmured, 200 meters? Lena took his hand, voice low. "Keep going?" Ryder nodded, eyes blazing. "Yes, the control points are a shot at life." They left the pillar, hurrying along the groove, dust wind at their backs, the distant roar echoing, truth buried in the dead land. Chap 39, Breath of the Dead Land. Ryder hurried along the faint groove in the gray soil, his hands gripping his bag like a sailor clinging to ropes in an unrelenting ash storm. The murky sky, thick with black clouds, let only weak light seep through, casting dim glows on the scattered broken metal pillars, remnants of a world destroyed. The wind howled through the wreckage, carrying fine gray dust that coated him in a dry ash layer, now tinged with a faint rank smell from the mutant that had passed. Lena walked beside him, her steel rod firm, her sharp gaze scanning the desolate expanse, her breathing slowed against the heavy air. Torin supported Mira, the young girl moving sluggishly, her hand clutching the cloth over her nose, her breaths weakening in the harsh environment. Kalia trailed behind, her broken wooden stick in hand, her tense eyes following the groove ahead. Archive's apocalyptic wasteland spared no mercy, and the control point 200 meters away was their only hope in the dead land. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, its red light pulsing faintly, the small screen showing, "Archive, Rider, control point 200 meters. Those words echoed in his mind, a cold whisper from an unseen force. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 24 North, 200 meters. Archive Phase 4, what's the control point? He paused, eyes locked on the screen, unease mixing with resolve. Just 200 meters, he murmured, voice low, blending with the wind's wail. But it won't be easy. Lena turned to him, her eyes glinting in the dim light, a small flame struggling through the ash. "Feel the air changing?" she asked, her voice rough with dry air. "Heavier, like something's burning." She inhaled lightly, frowning, peering toward the groove's path. Ryder nodded, stopping, crouching to touch the soil, feeling a faint warm breath escape from tiny cracks in the ground. "The land's breathing," he said, frowning. "Air's heating up, stronger sulfur smell, could be gas from an underground chemical reaction." He inhaled lightly, analyzing slowly. "Sulfur dioxide, or something close, leaking from cracks. This soil's not just dead, it's active." He wrote slowly, "Ground gas, sulfur, control point near." He turned to the group. "Cover your noses tight, this gas stings throats. Don't breathe deep." Torin eased Mira beside a metal pillar, his cloudy eyes tense. "This gas is worse than before," he said, voice deliberate. "Mira can't take much more." Mira coughed softly, hand on her chest, her gaze weary. Kalia stepped up, standing by Ryder, sniffing the air. "It's stinging my eyes more," she said, voice soft. "Like near a furnace." Ryder examined closer, noting the cracks weren't random, more clustered along the groove, like leading to a gas source. Not natural, could be from Seraphim machinery, or an underground reactor near the control point. He stood, looking ahead, spotting a faint shape through the dust, not a mutant, but a man-made structure. "There," he said, voice tense. 200 meters, right on the groove. Lena gripped her rod, eyes tense. "If it's a reactor, the gas'll be worse up close," she asked, voice low. "Can we get in?" Ryder frowned, analyzing. Not lethal yet, but it'll thicken near the source. We'll need cover if it's too bad. He checked the device, its screen flickering. Archive, Rider, control point 150 meters. Survive. He murmured, 150 meters. He wrote, control point 150 m, gas rising. Suddenly, a fierce wind roared through, carrying thick gray dust and a hot gust from the cracks, clouding their sight. Ryder shielded his face, shouting, behind the pillar. The group ducked behind the metal slab, hot gas sweeping past, leaving a sting on their skin. Gas venting harder, he said, voice tense. The control point's active, we need to move fast. Torin held Mira, voice trembling. It'll kill us before we get there, he said, eyes desperate. Kalia wiped dust from her eyes, voice soft. Like the land wants to swallow us. Ryder met Lena's gaze, eyes blazing. 150 meters, we have to reach it. There's life there. Lena took his hand, voice low. Go, but don't die. They hurried through the dust, hot gas at their backs, truth buried in the dead land. Chap 40, shadows in the poison air. Ryder hurried through the cracked gray land, his hands gripping his bag like a sailor clutching ropes in an unending ash storm. The murky sky, thick with black clouds, let only faint light filter through, casting dim glows on the scattered broken metal pillars, bones of a world burned away. The wind howled through the wreckage, carrying gray dust and hot gusts from cracks below, now thick with sulfur, weighing the air heavier than ever. Lena walked beside him, her steel rod firm, her sharp gaze cutting through the desolate haze, her breathing slowed against the toxic air. Torin supported Mira, the young girl moving sluggishly, her hand clutching the cloth over her nose, her breaths fading, while Kalia trailed behind, her broken wooden stick in hand, her tense eyes locked on the shadow ahead. The control point, 150 meters off, was their only hope in Archive's apocalyptic wasteland, but every step was a fight to survive. He slipped the Seraphim device from his bag, its red light pulsing faintly, the small screen showing, Archive, Rider, control point 150 meters. Survive. Those words echoed in his mind, a cold whisper from an unseen force. He opened his notebook, fingers brushing the page, writing slowly, Day 25 North, 150 meters. Archive Phase 4, control point closer. He paused, eyes fixed on the screen, unease rising. 150 meters, he murmured, voice low, blending with the wind's wail. But this gas'll kill us first. Lena turned to him, her eyes glinting in the dim light, a small flame struggling through the poison. See that shadow? She asked, her voice rough, pointing ahead where a shape loomed through the gray dust, low, metallic, with a thin smokestack leaking faint white vapor. Is that it? Ryder nodded, squinting through the haze, recognizing the shadow as a low metal block, venting gas from a small stack. The control point, he said, frowning. But not shelter, more like a reactor or processor. Gas is coming from it. He inhaled lightly, analyzing slowly. Heavy sulfur, maybe mixed with steam, they're generating this to test the land, or us. He wrote slowly, control point, gas reactor, survival test. He turned to the group. Closer, the gas gets worse, cover noses, go slow. Torin steadied Mira, his cloudy eyes tense. Mira can't take it, he said, voice deliberate. This gas burns the throat. Mira coughed hard, hand on her chest, her gaze weary. Kalia stepped up, standing by Ryder, sniffing the air. Feels hotter, she said, voice soft. Like near a fire. Ryder observed, noting a slight heat rise along the groove, and thicker green dust around it. Gas from the reactor, carrying heat and chemicals. Could be their life source, but tainted. He rummaged his bag, pulling a small metal shard and old cloth strip, combining them with Myra's spare cloth to make a crude filter. Use this, he said, handing it to Mira. Tie it to your nose cloth, filter some gas, not perfect, but it helps. He scribbled fast, crude filter, toxic gas, 150 meters. Lena gripped her rod, eyes tense. How do we get in there? She asked, voice low. This thick, we'll choke. Ryder frowned, analyzing. The reactor has an entry, must have internal filtering, or they don't expect us to last out here long. He checked the device, its screen flickering. Archive, Ryder, control point 100 meters. Enter. He murmured, 100 meters. Enter. He wrote, control point 100 entryway. Suddenly, a strong hot gust blasted from ahead, carrying thick gray dust and a sharp whine, clouding their sight. Ryder shielded his face, shouting, get low. The group dropped down, gas sweeping past, stinging their skin and eyes. Reactor spiking, he said, voice tense. It's ramping up, we need inside before it worsens. Torin held Mira, voice trembling. We'll die out here, he said, eyes desperate. Kalia wiped dust from her eyes, voice soft. Like the furnace wants to burn us. Ryder met Lena's gaze, eyes blazing. 100 meters, inside's how we live. Lena took his hand, voice low. Go, but fast. They pushed through the dust, hot gas at their backs, the reactor's shadow sharpening, truth buried in the dead land.